Well, I got loyalty inside my DNA. Oh, dude. Well, we're silent, but deadly. 45 on guys. We got one viewer in the audience. I believe that viewer's me. Ghosty Gal is here. What's up? Welcome back. I guess it's like I'm back. Bob2355, welcome to the stream. Wait a second here. Oh, we got more people in here. I streamed earlier today for like 30 minutes. I had to go do something important. Not saying that this isn't important, but going through a little bit. Dre.hh, welcome to the stream. How are you guys doing today? Hey, how's everybody doing today? Doing good, man. Well, that's a lie. I'm choosing to do good today. I'm a little bit tired. I'm back on YouNow. It's been a while. But, yeah, a little bit of stuff happened, and I've just been editing. I was talking about that earlier today. I've been editing so much for this documentary I'm working on, and organizing interview schedules, all different types of stuff. My phone is ringing. I'm gonna let it ring. Why not? Hopefully it's nobody important. Oh, sorry guys, I'm literally lying down. What's up? Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Why are you sad and then happy? Makes no sense to me. Sorry if I sound a little bit dead. I think I'm a little bit sick, but I think it's because I'm tired. I've been up all night long. A couple things have gone on since last time I was on stream. Especially with my documentary I'm working on. Like, I've just been editing so much, like I said. I won't repeat myself. I'll try not to repeat myself, but I wanted to get on Ustream just to talk and see what's up. Want to talk with you. You have finals next week. Uh-oh. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? You prepared or you not prepared? Why do you want to talk? Do you want to talk in guest or what? Jeremy, welcome to the stream. Guess you up? Okay. Put in, okay, there you are. I'll give you a chance here. You better be prepared to answer some topics.
Oh. Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Yeah, of course, I can hear you. Hear you? Oh my god, my accent just got mad.
Is it British?
I don't know. Some people told me it was British, and some other people told me it was Australian, and some other people told me that my accent is Russian. And now I'm fucking confused. Oh my god, sorry.
What is your accent? What's your ethnicity?
What?
What is your accent? Like, what's your ethnicity?
Where am I from?
Yeah.
I'm from Asia.
Asia?
Yeah.
What country?
Do you know Indonesia? Indonesia.
Okay, sweet.
So where are you from?
I'm from Canada. I'm a Canadian.
Oh, can you speak French? Bonjour. Bonjour.
You're racist. You're being racist. Just kidding.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know anything about how Canadians speak French. I mean, we're taught French, but like French is just kind of like forced upon us. We don't even really like.
Comment avez?
I mean, There was a prime
Wow.
minister a couple of years, like, well, not a couple of years, Pierre Trudeau, who's the dad of another Trudeau. He insisted that we had to speak French. So if you sit on Air Canada, even though I don't know a word of French, I have to sit through English instructions on what to do on the plane, and then they
Yeah.
go over in French, and it's like another 10 minutes, and nobody on the plane speaks French. It's just part of our.
And they just like, okay, somehow like that.
I'll pick up some
Wait,
word
what?
there, but
I don't know your name. Let's get to know each other. Shake my hand.
my name is Nolan. You can shake it. Oh, it's the wrong hand. 1 second. Shake it.
Shake hand. Okay.
Sweet. Well,
Noah, my
do you want
my
to
name.
answer some questions?
What question?
Well,
Of course I would.
okay, sweet. We're gonna get into deep conversation. If you're new, to this, you get into deep conversation on this stream all the time.
Okay.
So,
Go.
earlier we were talking about. Right now, I'll give a little backstory to the audience. I'm working on a documentary right now. It deals with a family that's going through like a really tough time. They have a tumor. Like the wife has 2 kids and a dad, well, a husband, I guess. But she has a tumor in her neck. She just got it removed, but and she's lost movement below the waist. So going into this story to create this documentary,
You're
it was a really
busy.
negative atmosphere, and what I was trying to do was, and rather just having of, you all right there? Uh-oh. She just coughed herself out of connection, I guess. Oh no. Well, I'll continue. So, doing this documentary, I'm trying to take a baba fettuccine. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry, man. I'll try my best, but welcome to the stream. Are you new here? Or are you? Yes, you're new here. So we're taking. I was just trying to like put a positive twist on this negative thing that's happening to this family, but I ran into like the problem of how do I do that in such a negative situation? You know, I talk a lot about positivity on this stream, but I'm also fully aware. I'm not looking in the camera. It's probably not creating a good connection. But I'm also aware that sometimes in life, like life isn't positive. It's not always 100% happy, and you can't live a 100% happy life. But that doesn't mean that like you can't treasure the moments that aren't happy and aren't the best moments of your life. Because frankly, you just won't have the best moments of your life all the time. So I ran into the problem of like trying to make this into a positive situation, and how to go through something as hard as this with a positive outlook on life and an optimistic view. And it was pretty difficult, especially when I knew that the father had already pretty much gone through all the legal things to figure out how much he'd get if he sold his house, his car, and moved into a small apartment, and pretty much financed the next decade of his life according to if his wife was going to die, because there's a pretty big percentage of that happening. Or being paralyzed, which would be equally as expensive for him, because it's just a rough situation. So this got me thinking. And what happened, it was I can't even pronounce the name of the tumor. It's intrapledumenary blastoma. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a tumor that sits within the spine. So this is the spine, it sits, okay, that's not right. Sits within the spine, I'll do this, okay? And the spine wraps around the tumor like this. So in order to remove the tumor, because it creates swelling in the neck, and if you let it grow, then she'll become paralyzed anyways. So what you have to do is you have to remove it, and by doing that you got to go into the spinal cord to remove it. So when you go into the spinal cord, especially up here in your neck, a lot of stuff, it's alright, I'll guess you in a second. But basically, like, stuff just is gonna go wrong regardless. You're gonna get, they don't know what was gonna happen. They didn't know what it was gonna affect. They didn't know how much it was gonna affect her. They didn't know if it was going to like it had the potential to be deadly, and like thank God it wasn't, and thank God she's recovering like a fucking god. But just a pretty rough situation. And when you're editing things and you're spending so much time going through the family and the family's friends and what they're saying over and over and over again, and hearing it over and over again, it starts to run in your mind. And everything you do, really, like in life, like for me, like when I'm walking down the street, it's like I'll see somebody struggling on the side, and I can relate what that family's going through to that person struggling on the street. Or especially when something personal happens, like during this whole process, one of my friends, his father got cancer. So like it really kind of brought a personal approach to something that I was trying to stay in a documentary filmmaker and client relationship. But again, like I knew that there was risks to this. There's actually a thing that it's kind of like PTSD. Thank you for the likes, Kira. It's kind of like PTSD for filmmakers, or especially documentary filmmakers. And you might be like, what the fuck, Nolan? What are you saying, dude? You're fucking crazy. Well, maybe I am crazy, but when you have an emotional attachment to a family, whether you choose to have that emotional attachment to an issue or you try to avoid it, the more time you spend around that, it will literally affect the way you think and the way that you do things. There was a time that I literally broke 100%. I just broke. I fell apart. I didn't know what, and this is like, I mean, it wasn't like the normal break. It was just like, what the fuck happened kind of break. Like all of the emotions of the video kind of like hit me. Like I felt the raw emotion of the video. And you know, you start to build this relationship with a family that's going through a hard time, and you start to compare. Like my mom went through a pretty rough time, and when I was born, and it affected our family. But I started to like realize how hard that time was for our family, how stressful that time was, and ultimately it really makes me want to be there for my family. And I've really realized over the past couple weeks that family is everything. Like, you know, I asked this girl at the rehab facility that I don't want to use names. I mean, like I can use names. I don't think it should be a problem, but I just because I'm live streaming and I don't know if I'll just not use names. But the girl with the tumor, I went to her rehab facility. It was in Toronto, and I was talking to like a doctor there, and she was saying, like, I asked her an interesting question, and I was expecting a completely different answer, and it was, what was the hardest case that you had to deal with in this facility? Because she does all the rehabilitation with movement, all that kind of stuff. Kind of adapting them from their situation back into the home is what this facility does. And she's like, you know, I've had people come in here without arms and legs. I've had people come in here with serious brain trauma and probably won't be able to have cognitive thinking again. People that are paralyzed, completely paralyzed, and the thing that separates them from the people that I feel for the most is the fact that they have family. You know, it's a completely different thing. The scariest thing is to go through something that's very horrible, but not to have anybody there for them. And when she said that, it opened my eyes to a bigger perspective than I was really thinking. That's why I like documentaries, because it makes you think in deeper contexts and allows you to see bigger perspectives and like kind of like the whole scope of a topic. Now, when she said that, again, like that opened my eyes to like, okay, so the worst thing like that happened to her, it doesn't matter like physically, but the people that are in your life are the people that are going to help you get better. Like if you don't have someone to get better for, in this case, no, I'm just going to use names. Rashmi, she had her kids and her husband that were there with her, writing like literally, I showed up to the house the one day for the welcome home, and there was this crayon sign from her 7-year-old kid on the door that said, welcome home. And when I saw that, it was like, dude, like, the realism of the situation kind of hits. And it takes you back into, like, you know, when I was a child, I went through something similar. I was way younger. I was just born when my mom had flesh-eating disease. So I couldn't comprehend what was happening. And when I interviewed the kids, they couldn't comprehend what was happening. They didn't know what their mom was really going through. They just knew she was going through a surgery that had the possibility to make her lose movement in her body somewhere. They didn't know that she could die. They didn't know that. And I mean, like, as a kid, you don't want to, like, tell your kids, like, oh, your mom's going into surgery and there's this chance that she'll die, eh? Like, just throw that out to your kids. Like, that can really mess with them and scare them. So their approach, I mean, it doesn't have to be your approach. If you're going through something different and you decide to tell your kids, that's all good. But their approach was a little bit different. They did address the severity of it, but as a kid, you don't comprehend how severe a situation can be because you don't know, you don't really know what a serious situation is. You don't know, like, really, like, you've heard of life and death. You know people die. You know people can die from doing stupid stuff, or you know about cancer. You know about all this stuff. You hear it, but you don't actually know what it is. And it's difficult to like, it's just a weird thing. Especially when you're talking to kids and they're saying, well, mommy's going to come home in this neck thing. And she's making jokes about it. Like, they have no idea. They're innocent kids. Like, they just don't know. So the sole purpose of this documentary was to put me in the shoes of the mindset, a conscious mindset, so that I could kind of understand my subconscious mindset of the issue that my mom went through. But starting the project and going throughout the project, I learned a lot more than I was expecting, like every time I do that. But and I would say that, like, honestly, I wasn't 100% prepared to learn that. Doesn't mean I'm, like, not all right with that. No, I'm completely fine with that. You know, I'm young. Like, I'm 18 years old. Like, I still don't fully understand things that happen to people. I don't fully understand suicide. I don't think people, like, will really ever fully understand suicide. Like, these issues that, like, we talk about, like, some complex issues in society, and we act like we know, but we don't truly know. Like, recently, one of my cousins, one of his really good friends, committed suicide. And, like, I've never had someone really close to me commit suicide. My brother has, and my cousin has, but I never have. You know, I looked at suicide, and this is going to sound really fucked up, okay? But stick with me on this. And this is just how I can get over that sad thought. You know, if someone's so sad to take their own life, they're so hopeless, they have no vision, they have no path that they can possibly fulfill. And I don't like, honestly, if it's wrong to some people and people believe this is wrong, then you know what, it's your opinion, it's all good. I have a free opinion chat. I'm all for free speech. I'm all for that stuff. So leave it in the chat. I'd love to hear it. But someone's in the mindset of they're so lost and they're so sad, and they honestly just, they think the only way to feel good about themselves is to take their own life, then I believe that choice that they made to do that, if that's what they believed, then I hope they're happy now. That's how I look at suicide. People that have very close relatives that go through suicide might not be able to see that way, and I understand that. But that's how I view it now. And until I actually experience that or go through somebody who has very, very depressing thoughts mind, and actually, like, ask them questions about their mind and purposely try to learn more about that topic, that's my perspective on it. And I know it could be wrong to some people, but to me, that's how I get through it. My cousin has no one. Exactly, and that's what's scary about suicide. You know, my brother had a friend, like a really, really close friend, and you know, I hugged her, like, I gave her a hug. I didn't know her, but, like, she was a beautiful girl, always had a smile, always making people happy. And I saw her on the mall like 4 or 5 days before she actually committed suicide, and I gave her a hug, and I remember like physically giving her a hug, and that stuck in my mind. And you know, no signs, zero signs. She could have been like the happiest person, but this is the problem with our society. I was like, I'm not gonna say this is the problem of our society because I don't know the problem of our society. Okay, like let's clear that up. Okay, I'll say some stupid stuff here, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired. But what I was trying to say is, I was saying this earlier today about people that smoke. You know, why do we care that people smoke? Why do we have to take our idea of smoking and say, well, you shouldn't smoke? Whether, like, we know, like, I mean, smokers know the fact of life. They know that smoking causes cancer, but they choose to do it. And so why is it people's obligation to say you shouldn't smoke? And this goes for like all purposes of life and any aspect of life. We're so quick, and I'm a victim to. I do the same thing, and it's gonna happen. Like, you just got to be aware of it happening, so you can like catch yourself and change it and be open to that change. But I used to always point fingers at people for doing things, and like especially teachers. I'll use teachers for example. Well, you're a fucking asshole because you make me do homework, and I'd point the fingers and say, well, you're just an asshole. I don't want to call you Mrs. or Mr. I called my vice principal Darcy one time because like I thought he was being rude to me, and it was like just retarded. But 1 second, guys. But yeah, no, like in Canada right now, and like I'll make a better example of this. But in Canada right now, we just passed a bill for I don't know if you guys know what vapes are. I was just in the area. I know somebody who owns a vape shop in Kitchener, and he's an entrepreneur. He created a business around something that he genuinely enjoyed to do. He genuinely enjoyed vaping. As much as people probably call him or call vaping like, oh, he's a fag, he vapes or whatever. Who cares? Okay, he likes vaping. And he created a business that generates income for him and his family off doing that. Just the same as I genuinely like film, and I'm trying to create a business that can support my family and create income for my family off doing what I love. So, all respect to this guy. But Canada just passed a bill saying, making it very hard for these companies to stay in business. And I guarantee the people that passed that bill probably never hit a vape before in their life. And it's just like, why do you care? Why do you care? I was saying this earlier today too, like, you know, nothing matters. Like, and this sounds horrible. I believe everything has purpose and reason, and I believe in manifesting your thoughts and actually going for something. But, you know, all of our ideas, like all of the stuff that we think matters, is an idea and an illusion that our mind tells us. Like, why do we like video games? Or why do we like going on YouTube? It's because we have this idea of that's entertainment. We like that type of stuff. Same with icons. Why do we just like certain people? I mean, talent is one thing, of course, but it's just this endless loop of like, who cares? Okay? And it doesn't get, like, honestly, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter until it starts affecting people. And we start to see this more and more in society, where we start pointing fingers without knowing. And you see, I'm Canadian, so y'all Americans, oh my God, that was horrible. That was cringeworthy. Y'all Americans, sorry guys. Americans in the chat, I don't want this to come across like, this is coming across as a political thing or a political agenda towards certain American groups. I'm Canadian, okay? We have a whole different political spectrum. We're dealing with a whole different set of problems, okay? But on that note, in Canada, we're so quick to point fingers, and that just happens every day. Like every day I see it. It's like something new. Well, somebody doesn't like this, so let's make a law about it. I'm completely against restrictions and regulations to the extent, like, if it's going to restrict somebody from getting in a car for drinking and killing somebody for being stupid, then yes, that should be a law. But if it's going to be somebody who's like, oh, I just want to vape, I just want to vape, I don't want to smoke cigarettes, I want to change it, or maybe they just want to vape for whatever reason, why should we have to create laws on that? And I understand there needs to be regulations, and so people aren't dying of random shit, but it's just so dumb. Like and let me tell you the regulations on this. First off, like, this is just retarded, and I'll go into drones. It's another thing, but it's like, first off, no flavors. Well, I don't think anybody's gonna quit smoking now. I don't think anybody's gonna vape ever again, because that's what vaping is. It's flavors. Have you ever tried non-flavored vape juice? I'm assuming some of you vape in here or have hit a vape before, but the only thing that's appealing about vaping is the flavors, right? Like, I'm sorry, like, that's what makes it appealing. Like, I'm sorry, that's just it. So if you eliminate that, then nobody's gonna do it. So it's just retarded. It doesn't affect, like, it only affects the person using it. It's like almost like saying, well, let's ban alcohol because alcohol causes people to get in a car drinking and driving. Yes, it does, and that's horrible, but we have laws on that. But we still have alcohol in society, and we still have smokes in society. We're in the process of legalizing marijuana, which, again, who cares? Why do people care so much? Why do people care even to the extent, and this is going to sound fucked up and crazy, and again, I say this because I've dealt with people that do what I'm about to say. I've talked to people, I've interviewed people, I have had, like, deep conversations with people that have done the stuff I'm just about to say, okay? Why do we care that heroin and meth and all these hard drugs should be illegal? Why? Because the average person, if it was legal, okay, and it was just a legal thing, you could go to a store and buy it, then do you think just the average person would just, like, everybody would do heroin? Fuck no. Fuck no. Don't get like that. It's just a bullshit thing to say. Like, if you gave me the option to do heroin, even though it's illegal now, I wouldn't do it. Not because it's illegal, because I know the repercussions. I know the addiction. I know what that does. And, you know, the reason why people choose to do that is because they're dealing with a severe, severe pain. And this comes from actual experience dealing with people. I mean, I'm not going to talk for the whole group. Actually, I can talk for the whole group in one aspect, but there's probably other aspects and other paths. But one of the major ones is, you know, they're dealing with a severe pain, something that, like, just kills them, and that's their escape. And is it right? Is it wrong? I don't think it's right or wrong. I just think that that's how they deal with their problems. I understand it's a bad way to deal with their problems, but people still deal with their problems by drinking alcohol. So again, why do we care? Why are we always caring about just everything? And I'll tell you why this comes across as a problem to me, and this is why I'm trying my best. And this is the thing, I do care, and that's what happens. Like, I do care. I do that. I just care about things. But I'm trying my best over the next couple weeks, couple months, to really eliminate that. Why do I care? I mean, I care about things that, like, in my mind, and my mind creates ideas about things, like, for example, like, I don't want to say politics, because politics are important, but they're not the be-all and end-all. You see, we live in a democracy, in America and Canada at least, and, you know, we are the be-all and end-all, the people. You know, it's not one person that decides everything, it's the people that decides everything. So, and I don't want to get political, because, you know, I'm Canadian, and I'm assuming a lot of people here are from America. So I don't really like, I mean, I do follow your politics somewhat, but I don't choose to. I follow Canadian politics because I'm Canadian. I got to worry about my own country, okay? My country's going through some stuff too, all right? So it just, all this stuff that just doesn't matter, and we make it out of proportion. We put it so far out of proportion that it's almost like, well, why do we have to put a law on everything? And I know it sounds kind of like upsetting, but like, okay, well, you know, people that I know I haven't been reading the chats too much, bro. Strawberry and kiwi. I know I haven't been reading the chat, but my point was on the legalizing hard drugs. You might be like, oh, that's a crazy idea. Like, that's just absolutely absurd to legalize every single drug, so anybody can go buy heroin. Well, if we take a look at Portugal for a second, Portugal legalized every single drug, okay? Every single drug, including heroin and meth and these insane drugs, okay? But what that does is it gives us a representation of who's actually using it. It helps us actually analyze and maybe give more help to the people that need it. I'm not saying that that's like the best thing and the only thing that good comes out of that. And there's probably some bad that comes out of that. But at the same time, it's like, who cares? Okay, what you do with your life is what you do with your life, and you can't let other people take your life and shape it. You can't let other people's opinions and other people's perspectives change how you view the world and live your life. Just the same as what I'm learning with this documentary is I have to separate that. I can't let that emotion and that I don't want to say depression, but that sadness rule. And you know, that's a small scale. Like, you know, you put yourself in a situation where you're affected by all different types of emotions from a very horrible standpoint, and you start to live like you're dealing with those problems yourself. So going into the bigger perspective, like I like to do here, you know, you live in a society where everybody's opinions are going to shape who you are, and you care about everything. You start to become something that you just created. So in all honesty, you're just you don't matter, and that's the way to get around it. Jim Carrey talks about this. He's a Canadian, and he's been very helpful in the past couple of days, and I'm very glad that I stumbled upon his thing on his interview. But there's an interview he does, and he talks about icons, and he just says, like, you don't matter, you don't exist. And it's not saying like there's no God, or like, because I believe in a creator. I believe in something that created this. I mean, I also believe in evolution. I don't believe that it was just this planet that it was created. I believe that the universe is constantly expanding. I don't believe that. I know that. And I believe that there's other life in this universe, and that's what's up. But at the same time, like, we don't matter. Sometimes you just got to say that to yourself. We don't matter, okay? You know, we have to break down what our mind is doing and creating, like, and logically think about it. Because if we live our whole life believing in something that we just tell ourselves, like, we're happy. No, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Always positive. There'll come a day when you face a very, very sad event and you won't know how to deal with it. It'll be a completely new concept to you. And that's the problem. I know it doesn't sound like a problem too much, but you know, I read a lot of self-help books throughout high school. You know, the law of attraction, all this kind of stuff about positivity, and I do believe that happiness is a choice to an extent. You know, sometimes you have to tell yourself to be happy to get yourself out of a shitty position. I've been in that position. But, you know, if you tell yourself over and over again that you will be successful, you will be successful, you will be successful, you know, like, you start to have this illusion of, like, what your success is. So, like, when you actually become successful in what you want to do, you're like, you will never find what you want to do because you're chasing something completely foreign. But does that make sense, chat? Like, do you understand what I mean? Like, I like the way that I said the happiness thing. If you tell yourself you're happy every single day for the rest of your life, even if, like, you know, this is the thing. Like, yes, like, this is why I have to, like, kind of break it down. Because, yes, you have to tell yourself to be happy and to stay positive. But, well, that's the thing. Like, it's good in a sense. It does help you. But if you get caught up in that and you start to believe that illusion that you're telling yourself, then it can be harmful. It can be very harmful because, you know, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to my cousin, especially with suicide. That's where that kind of clicks with me. That's the only thing I can kind of get from that. You know, a very positive person living life on a very positive level, telling himself that he's very positive, and then when something really, really bad happens, the concept of that is so blown out and so fake to him, it doesn't even exist in his mind because he doesn't talk about it. You know, like, you as a person need to talk about things that you disagree with. So, like, and I will bring in some American politics here. And again, don't kind of quote me on this. Just kind of think about it. Don't take it like I'm telling you to do this, but think about it. And if you try it, then sweet. I would love to hear if you try it. Send me a DM on Twitter. I would love to hear that. So she thinks she's happy working like crazy and 70 years old. She won't slow down. I'll get to that in a second. But, you know, I talked about this earlier. Well, not earlier today, but like earlier this month. You know, when somebody, like, I think it happens a lot in Canada, okay? And I think, like, I'm assuming it happens quite a bit in America. I've seen it happen in America. I mean, where you have an argument with someone that is on the opposite spectrum of a political view, and that person shuts you down by either calling you something that clearly is not really defined as that. Like, I'll use a racist, for example. That's a big one nowadays. Like, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist. You know, when you, and this isn't hurting the other person, by the way, and like, this is what I kind of get from it. But I want to hear what you have to think, okay? When you, like, say it's me calling you a racist because your views are different than mine, I'm like, you're a racist, you're a racist, you're a racist, or you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, okay? I don't want to hear what you have to say, you're stupid, all right? Well, you'll never learn what the other side of the argument is, and you need both sides of the argument to find the middle ground. You need both sides. You need to hear what both people have to say, and you're missing out. You're hurting yourself. You're not learning about that topic, and you're just following what your idea is and what your perspective on that issue is. If you don't give yourself a chance to actually, like, understand, and like, sometimes you are very passionate about an issue, and, you know, if you're not willing to be open to someone changing your mind and giving you a new perspective, then you're missing out, because you'll stay as the same person, and it can hurt you. Now, I'm not saying, like, you know, like, I'm no professional. I'm fucking 18 years old, and like, I don't fully understand a lot of things in this world, but I can relate to documentaries, and what works for me in documentaries, and what's helped me with documentaries, and it has helped me basically improve my life and how I talk to people and how I deal with people through documentaries, is by doing that exact thing. Going into a situation that I know nothing about, really. Like, maybe I have a perspective of that. That's what I go in with. Like, I have a general idea of how sad this is going to be about this documentary. Wife could die. Cool. But then when I actually enter that situation, it's like, okay, this is actually real. You know, this is a family feeling actual pain because his wife could die. These kids might not have a mother. And when it starts to become real, you start to develop a pretty foundation perspective. And you're like, okay, so now it's real. The wife could die. What's the husband going to do? And like, how is she dealing with this? How's the husband dealing with it? How's the family friends dealing with it? How's the kids dealing with it? And you start to ask everybody in that household how they're dealing with this situation. And you start to hear all the different ways that they're dealing with this situation. Like, one of them's dealing with a positive way, one's dealing with a negative way, one's dealing with, I don't know, like the kids, for example, they don't comprehend how serious the issue is. But you start to find, like, this, you start to create a new perspective made up of all of the people and all the attributes to the problem or topic, and you start to create a perspective that isn't just yours. It's a bunch of people. It's a collaboration. And that's so awesome. It's so awesome because not only is it eye-opening and makes you think about things differently, but it also changes the way that you view the world. And I think that's what we should always be doing, trying to benefit ourselves. Don't give a shit. If someone's smoking on the street, don't care. Like, just, that's their choice. And, like, honestly, like, again, like I say, it's their choice. It's their choice. That's what you hear all the time. But why do you even care that it's their choice? You know, like, why do you even acknowledge it? You know, they're smoking. Yes, it's bad. You know it's bad, so don't do it. But move on. You don't need to like create a whole argument like, oh, well, smoking's bad, because I guarantee you that will change no one's mind about smoking. They're just gonna pick up another pack on their way home from that argument and smoke again. How you really change someone's mind is actually getting involved and hearing what they have to say and giving them what you have to say and creating a middle ground and actually like working together. And I know like this is like something with I can say one thing with America that I see as a Canadian, as an outsider. You know, they talk, like I've heard a lot of people call Trump as this guy that's dividing the country. But in fact, it's the people of America that are dividing the country. I know it sounds like foreign, but like from what I see, it's like, okay, he has a different political view and you have a different political view and you both don't agree to disagree and find a middle ground. So that's what's creating the divide. Yes, he might be a symptom of dividing it, but the actual divide is made up of the Americans. They're the ones getting divided, so don't let it happen. We live in a democracy. We got to work together. We got to share what we have to say rather than just getting angry and upset about it. And you see, I see in Canada, you know, we're very big on multiculturalism, which, you know, there's some problems with it, but, you know, I've also approved of a lot of stuff that comes out of multiculturalism. You know, I believe that, you know, immigrants are great in the sense that they're contributing to our society and, you know, we're integrating them properly, not just for the fun of it. Like, you know, what's the point of taking 10,000 people from a country that's going through a lot of shit, bringing them to a country but not giving them a home or a place to sleep, and making them homeless in our society, which you need a house to live in our society, or else you live on the street and you need food. It's more money here. But again, I don't want to get political, but I just want to say that, like, you know, I can find a middle ground on that. You know, even if I disagree with it, you know, if a majority of Canadians have to agree with that, and that's what a majority of Canadians do. I can make my point, I can say why I don't like it, but we as people, we decide. It's a democracy. We decide how that happens. And I think it's awesome. You know, I just think that side of politics in general, when it actually, like, when you actually see it working and see how both sides can, like, work together to find a common ground, it's a beautiful thing. It's like, man, like everybody's working together to actually create something better than what it was before. Just like I'm doing with my documentary, looking into a bunch of people and trying to figure out a pathway or a perspective that was better than my original perspective. I went into it thinking, oh, I didn't know the severity. I was like the kids. It's like, well, she could die. I mean, like my mom went through something similar, so I had an idea of it, but I had no idea. That's the awesome thing. And being able to give myself and teach myself that, it starts to make me think in other ways. How do I teach myself how to run a business, or how to create a business, or how to do film? I'll tell you how I did that. Well, when I came out of high school, I didn't go to film school. Fuck no. Why would I go to film school? It's pointless. What I did was I created a business that was structured around creating content for somebody that needed a low-quality film, all right, but that had the budget to rent equipment. I would charge them for renting equipment. If anybody's going through something and they want to start a company, especially in film, you can take this structure, or maybe you can hear this structure and get ideas for yourself. But the way that I got around learning the equipment and working with cameras that I had no idea how to use, and working with equipment that I never used before, was I would charge clients to rent the equipment, so it would be a super low price for a pretty decent quality video. And like, I wouldn't say high quality, I wouldn't say medium quality. I mean, low quality compared to high quality video at at the start, but I didn't know what I was doing. So of course I'm not going to charge the money. So as I started to learn the equipment and started to learn how to do what I can do now and learn film, like I started to increase my price, and that's how I built my business. So in order for me to learn, like I literally taught myself film. I didn't need film school. I taught myself how to use the equipment. I knew I was a hands-on learner. I knew I'm tactile. I knew that I would not benefit as much as I'd benefit from actually being in the field. And then I also worked as a tech on many sets. And again, like I don't want to be like, oh, I'm bragging, but I kind of am bragging. I think that was badass of me. You know, my teachers told me I had to go to film school, and I literally gave them the finger and went on and worked for free and showed them that energy and time is just as important, if not more important, than money. I mean, you might not be making money from giving your time. You might have to give a lot of time. I gave over 1,400 hours of free labor, working sets, 12 hours a night, throughout the night, like 12 hours overnights. I would work all week at a studio, always in the back room, feeling, touching, and learning about equipment. Everything I learned about film and grips and lighting, I learned on YouTube. And then I went to my studio, and I was like, okay, well, this is what that was, and how do I use this clamp? How do I use this? How can I use it creatively? That's kind of like the premise of like, that's why I do documentaries. Same idea. It allows me to teach myself. You know, I can, like, and this is the thing. Anybody has the ability to do that. Everybody has the ability to teach themselves. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't go to school. If you feel like you need to go to school and that's the right choice for you, then do it. That's you. You do you. But like, you know, my teachers, it goes back to that point of pointing fingers and saying like, you know, well, you're not going to make it in the film industry if you don't go to school. Well, why do you care? Why do you fucking care? Like, honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't affect your life. It affects my life. So, and if I took them seriously and said, well, you know, I'll never be a film, I'll never create films, then if I actually cared about that, if I cared what they said, and I went along with what they told me, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I wouldn't find what I'm doing now. But yeah, I think that's pretty sweet. I think that was a pretty good sum up of what I meant. Megan, welcome to the stream. I'm sorry, I was in the middle of thought. I'm very tired about advice. Advice on what? And hey, Sabrina L. Got it. I had to say it a couple times. Friends. Wait a second. Okay, friends. I want to see if this coincides with something. Maybe I could tie it in with this. She's going to work and... Okay, sweet. Okay, sweet. What I'll tell you about friends is this. Okay? And it's hard. And this is the thing. Guys, I am not an advice expert, and like what I say, take with caution. Okay? I mean, I do, like, everything I say I put into practice. And for me it works, but you know, I think advice is tricky, because this is the thing. Especially on friends. You know, I was surrounded by friends that, you know, my mind created. Like, why do you want to be friends with certain people? Like, especially in high school, it's like, well, I want to be friends with that group. Why is it that group? Well, either they're the popular kids or the cool kids, whatever it is. It's like, your mind has this idea of what popular and cool is. And, you know, everybody works very hard to achieve that. Some people don't, and I'm very happy, and I wish that I didn't spend a lot of... I mean, I didn't really spend a lot of time trying to be like that. I was just genuinely, like, people were attracted to me because of my attitude towards life and just my enthusiasm. I think that's what attracted people. But, you know, when I was friends with everybody, but when I was attracting all that energy and everybody, like all my friends, which weren't just the popular kids. There were drug dealers. There were fucking people that were kicked out of school and suspended for screaming "fuck" 3,000 times down the hall at a vice principal, which I would call him a pretty funny kid, actually. If you got to know him, you'd probably see him and be like, okay, that guy's a little bit sketchy. But, you know, I've always been open to building relationships with anybody. You know, and this is why it kind of salts me up with all these arguments that assume that, like, they just say, well, you are racist or whatever. And it's like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, good. Because I'm not racist. You know, I literally love everybody the same as my parents loved me. That's just what I've been taught. Treat people with love and respect. I mean, respect is earned, but again, like, treat people with love and respect people as you'd respect yourself. It doesn't need to be more respect, but give people the respect that you won't punch them in the face until they break it. But with friends, it's difficult because, you know, it's hard because, you know, I still love my friends to this day. And I know deep down inside they weren't purposely trying to do this. It's just a fact. They weren't purposely trying to ruin my run and my streak. And I mean, I'm going to say something that's controversial here, and I hope that if one of my friends is watching this, you know, I'm not trying to, like, say that you actually meant to do this, but and it's nothing bad. Like, you shouldn't even feel bad. You shouldn't give a shit. Just nothing matters. But you know, you're surrounded by people that in life you have people that want you to succeed and people that either just don't care and just don't want you to succeed. Maybe it's just they don't care, and that makes you not want to succeed. And their tendencies will make you do the same thing. You know, you surround yourself with a group of people that always drinks and always smokes, and, you know, you start to drink and smoke. And, you know, I still carry some of those characteristics to this date. Would I blame it on them? No, fuck no. It was my decision. I did that. But I can say that the reason why I went into that was because that was the thing. That's kind of what I surrounded myself with people that did that. When I got out of film, or when I got out of high school, or in grade 12, at the end of grade 12, I started surrounding myself in the film community. And I noticed something right away. First off, I'm meeting people that run production companies. I'm meeting people that that are successful in film. I'm creating, like, relationships with clients that honestly, like, hire me to do stuff. So this is what I mean. This is what I'm trying to get down to. You want to find a group of people that are going to propel you in the future. That are going to, they don't rely on people. Don't, like, nobody. You aren't, like, you shouldn't expect anything from anybody else. But join, and this might be hard because you might be, I don't know many artists. Join and find a group of people that are similar to you. And I know it sounds like, oh, well, I have people that are similar to me. What I mean is people that genuinely want you to succeed, and you will sense that, like, that genuine feeling of, like, they want you to go on to the future. I don't know if that really helps your question, but I have one friend out of all the friends throughout high school. I mean, if I had relationships with some of the friends, especially the drug dealers, I mean, like, maybe I would, like, this is the thing. It sounds crazy, okay? Some of these drug dealers, like, they created music, and, you know, they wanted to succeed just as bad as I wanted to succeed. And, I mean, I can't say that what would have happened if I went down that path and well, not drug dealing, but, like, hung out with those kids all the time. I want to say that I would maybe find a creative push, but I can also say that maybe I would have found a negative push, like drug dealing. And, you know, it sounds ridiculous, but at the same time, I know who I am. You know, I'm that type of guy. I'm a business. I literally like business. So, like, someone gave me the opportunity to sell drugs. I wouldn't say, like, 100% right now. Like, right now, I wouldn't do it. But, like, my dumb young self, I did some fucking stupid shit. You know, I got so drunk in grade 9 that I passed out at a busher that I created. And I had a drug dealer, one of my like biggest friends at the time, carry me on his back all the way to his house. I almost got hypothermia. It was horrible. But my dumb little self, holy shit, I would have made some stupid decisions. Okay? But going back to the premise of this, honestly, I have one friend out of all of high school. All 4 years, pretty much talking to everybody in my grade, building a relationship with everybody in my grade, building a relationship with kids that were like 2 years or 2 grades up and a grade up and a grade down. I didn't really go too far back. I mean, there was some kids that like were 2 years younger than me that I would talk to, but it's like, again, like at a certain age, you kind of go, okay, well now I'm older. I don't really relate to the younger age because they're honestly, you're just dumber. That's just what happens. Everybody's at that stage. They're dumb people. We make dumb decisions, but when you get older, you start to mature. So, like I was saying, is I have one friend that's still by my side today. I mean, all my friends are like, I would consider them by my side. I mean, I hope they feel the same with me. Like, I mean, I don't hang out with them as much, but that's because I'm focused on me. You know, I'm not focused on like, I kind of gave up on the narrative of being, I don't want to say cool. Like, that's not what I get from it. It's just, I got stuck into one group when I was meant to be with everybody. Like, I just genuinely like dealing with all different types of people, new people. New people is the key. Don't get stuck in just a chain of the same people all the time. Go and challenge yourself to make new relationships with people that you would never talk to. And that trades off. I talk to homeless people all the time on the streets. I'll get into like 30-minute conversations with them. It allows me to talk to drug dealers with very little bias. I mean, like, of course I have bias. I'm not going to lie. Everybody would have bias. Everybody has a bias going into a conversation with someone who does drugs. You have this perception, which isn't right, or sorry, it isn't wrong. Like, like everybody should have a perspective, but the difference between having a perspective and being stubborn and not changing that perspective, or not being willing to change the perspective, is you'll never learn who they truly are, and you're missing out. Because these people that are struggling with severe problems, with pain, and are dealing with them in extreme ways, you know, I live by something that's pretty simple, okay? And it helps me a lot when I'm looking at documentaries and just general topics. I look at a very extreme case in order to understand the very minute aspects of that story or that topic. You know, if you look at someone with an extreme addiction, like heroin or meth, they'll highlight the things, the reason why they do it. Rather, when you look at someone who uses their cell phone, they might not even know they're addicted. So this is why you do that. You go to the extreme and you realize, well, there's pain. They're using it to numb that pain, and then they feel regret, and they sense all the problems, and then pain comes back, and it's an endless circle that just like repeats and repeats and repeats. I read a book on it, by Recovery, by Stephen. Why can't I think of his name? The Brit. No, what am I saying? Russell Brand. Stephen. Why was I thinking Stephen? Russell Brand. He had a book called Recovery. If you want to learn about addiction, that really helped me understand that, like, kind of the concepts behind addiction. And then with that, I went in and talked to people with severe addictions, and I could literally see exactly what Russell meant. You know, from people that don't think they have a problem. You usually see that a lot with people that are on phones. They don't think they have a problem. Or smoking cigarettes. Some of them don't think they have a problem. Should you care? That's a whole other thing. I just talked about that. It doesn't fucking matter. Don't even get into it with them. They won't change their mind. Nobody will change unless they change their own perspective. Now, you can give your perspective, and I mean, in some cases, it's not even worth it, because, like, again, like smoking, just, why do you care? Just move on. I think that's more applicable to politics. If you give your perspective rather than just shouting that's wrong at the person that disagrees with your perspective, you'll find something that's very interesting. But like I said, dealing with people that I was just talking to some guy in an alleyway. I was filming these needles, and they were heroin needles, syringes, and I was like literally like this was like the sketchiest thing. My dad's a doctor, so I was like talking to my dad on the phone. I was like, Dad, like what kind of virus is gonna get? He's like, don't touch the fucking needle. So I go, okay, I won't. As soon as he got off the phone, I was like, I just don't prick myself. I moved the needles and placed them and made them look all nice. Used heroin needles, by the way, very dangerous. So don't do that. But I needed to get the shot, everything for the shot. But I was just filming these needles, and some guy comes biking down the way, and immediately, and this happens still to this day, no matter how hard I try, it will always happen. When somebody looks, you have a perception of somebody, and you're like, oh, dude, that guy's sketchy. That happens in my mind all the time. But the difference, what I learned, is to shut that down for a second. Just say, shut the fuck up, okay? How's your day going, buddy? That's all I say. How's your day going? Think he's going to mug you? You think he's going to jump you? Like, logically, do you think somebody, just for saying, hey, how's your day going, is going to, like, get off their bike and beat the shit out of you? No. No fucking way. There's no way. Nobody thinks that way. I mean, maybe some mentally unstable guy thinks that way, but, like, my mind would tell me that. This guy, like, from when I was growing up, this guy could beat me up. This guy will steal my stuff. Maybe that's the case. Maybe he might steal my stuff. But if I make the gesture to be kind and welcoming to him, and give him less of a reason to do that, then I feel more like it will probably change his mind. It will engage him. It's like, you know, he clearly, and this is how I look at homeless people, they clearly face every day people ignoring them. So when you actually engage in conversation and sit down with them on the ground, get on their level, and actually engage with them, they have a connection with you. They go, well, this guy actually cares. This guy, and even if you genuinely don't care and you're just doing it to be, I don't know, just a nice guy, okay, that guy gets the perception of, well, this guy took time out of his day to sit down and talk to me. That very helpful for people like that. They'll talk forever. Homeless people will literally talk forever. Like some homeless people, I mean, you'll get the odd one that is mentally unstable and just doesn't want to talk to you, and you just ignore him, just move on. But like if you actually sit down with just some guy or some girl that's sitting there having a smoke and clearly looks pretty lazy or not lazy, well, probably lazy because like he doesn't have anything else to do, but just bored, sitting on the ground. Like if you just sit down and engage in a conversation. I was in Toronto and I did this with some guy, and I gave him like literally like 10 smokes, and he was literally just talking. He talked for about 40 minutes. We just talked. I couldn't really understand what he was saying. He didn't really have good English, but kept pointing to the cars and going, these people. And I'd be like, yeah, these people what? And like, they're always in a rush. They're always in a hurry. They're always in like this rush. They always need to be somewhere. And he's like, it makes no sense. It's like, you know, why is it always like I have to be there at the fastest time? Why do I have to risk my life in this car? And it's like they have really interesting perspectives. They sit on the street and analyze people. And again, going back to the alleyway story where I'm sitting there and I see some guy and I get this perception this guy's sketchy, and I go, okay, wait a second. Hey, buddy, how you doing? How's your day going? Whatever. Well, now I created an action for him to engage with me. And what does he do? Pretty much, I mean, every time. Every time that I see someone sketchy and I do that, every time, somebody will engage. I've had one time that it was a negative engagement where it was like a bunch of goth people. I don't know if they were goth or Satanists. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care about whatever you believe in. But they walked down the street. I was like, hey guys, how's your day going? And they're like, fuck you. They got really upset and they like flipped me off, and like it was like a group of them all dressed in black. I was like, okay, like what? Why? I don't know. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, I'll move on. But again, I create that gesture to be like, yo, what's up? How you doing? And if anybody does that, someone's guaranteed to give a gesture back. They're gonna say good, bad. And genuinely, like, this is what I learned. I read a book about how to win friends and influence people, and how you have to fake being genuine to basically relate to people. But, you know, sometimes you're like, you know, they say bad. And you say, well, really, sometimes I don't actually fake my genuine, like, honestly, if someone says, like, my day's going bad, I can have a pretty genuine response naturally. Well, what's wrong? Now they might go off on something I have no idea about, but like again, if I give them that idea that I'm listening and I kind of I can kind of comprehend what you're going through, and give them their time to talk, then they'll give me my time to talk, and that's when I ask them the question. So like, do you know much about drugs in this area? And then they'll give me like a lot of information about that. And this guy talked about when he got hooked on to cocaine and what he used to do for cocaine, what he used to steal, and when he was younger, about his parents and about his brothers, and some pretty intense stuff. Like his parents, they were both alcoholics, and like his brother got in a car accident and almost died, and then his other sister just like doesn't, like, literally ignores him, like, because of his choice of going like just because of him, really. So like again, like it's just a very complex situation that this guy's going through, and that's why he does what he does. And I ask him all the time, like I ask him, like, you know, like, what do you think is right? Like what's like, do you think it's wrong that people are on these hard drugs? Why do you think it's illegal? And their answers are like crazy, because these are the people that are actually doing it. You know, I mean, like, you might say, well, the heroin addict might be like, oh, well, I should legalize it because of what? Because of what? Why does he want it legalized? So he doesn't go to jail, okay? So that he can get safe stuff rather than this fentanyl that's going around Kitchener and all over the world right now, all over Canada. It's literally killing people. So it's regulated, and so that the government can figure out who's actually using what and can create more opportunity to help those people. And they're not going to change unless they change themselves, but if they could open up more rehab facilities for people that are strictly on heroin and train people with addiction and heroin and different types of addiction and figure out that, like, it could benefit them. But again, we don't, like, everybody else cares about other things. People that don't genuinely know what they're talking about like vapes, for example. Someone who's never hit a vape before creates a law that says you can't sell flavored things for vapes. You can't sell flavored juice, sorry, not things, but juice for vapes. And you can't talk about vapes and tell your customers which one's good and which one's bad. You can't tell them which brand it is. You're going to be very limited on that. No more RDAs, all this stupid shit. And this is the problem. And this is why I, honestly, this vape thing is really pissing me off. Even though I'm not really a strong vape advocate, it just pisses me off because I know somebody who literally is an entrepreneur. He found something that he loves to do, created a business that creates income off of it. And now he's getting shut down because, well, someone who's never done it before can just say so. Those are the rules I hate. Those are the fucking worst. Those are the regulations that are so stupid. Same with drones. You literally can't fly a drone in Canada. Go look at the regulations on it. Like, try to find one spot in Ontario, in this, like, kind of the Toronto area, and try to find one spot where, honestly, you could probably say anywhere in Canada other than, like, the Great White North or, like, maybe in Manitoba. But, like, literally, it's retarded. You can't fly it more than 300 feet. You can't fly it over a person, over a car, over a vehicle, 9 kilometers from any heliport, airport, anything. And it's like, you look at this, and people that actually have drones are like, okay, well, what's the danger of flying it near an airport? Like, if an airplane hits my drone, it will blow up into a million pieces. Like, again, I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying, like, these are like this conception that, like, we have to have, our ideas need to become a real thing. Like, the way that we see this world needs to be set in stone. You know, we should live in our shoes. We should live in our body. We should go after what we want to go after, and we shouldn't be affected by people that have the ideas that are maybe against ours and create laws that say, well, you can't do that because I disagree with that. Meanwhile, you're sitting there like, well, it doesn't affect anybody else but me. Like vaping, this is just such a generic one. Like, there's so many, but like, I don't want to get into them because they're political. And again, like, I just don't like to deal with politics because I'm Canadian. You guys don't know Canada politics. Vaping is just a very good example of this. Okay. But again, someone that's never done it implies a law that says you can't do it. That affects people that that like to do it. And what does vaping do to somebody? Does it affect your peers? Does it affect like your siblings? Does it affect people in society? No, it affects you as a person. Okay, just like smoking, just like drinking. And it's just one thing. It's like some random person creates a law that says you can't do it because they disagree with it. And it's like, well, it just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe it makes sense to you guys. And I understand that, like, yes, we live in a democracy, but, like, it's just, there's rules that I agree with, and I'm not going to lie. Like, drunk driving, like I said, someone gets in a car and it's impaired. They should be, like, sent to jail. Yes. Like, good. Because they made the choice to get in a car knowing the consequences about hurting other people, causing other people harm because they were drunk driving. But why should you be basically not given the right to do something because somebody else feels either offended or they just don't like it? Like, I just don't understand that premise. And, you know, laws need to be set in stone, but there's just so many stupid fucking rules. My friend Reed broke a car from flying a drone into it. Well, of course you have those incidences, yes, but, you know, this is the thing. If someone comes out with a law saying, well, you can't fly a drone anywhere near a car, and I want to say it's like 3 kilometers from a car, which is 3 kilometers in miles. Sorry guys, I'm not 1.86 miles away from a car. So just the wording of that, like, you can't fly a drone 1.86 miles away from, like, a radius from the car. Like, well, what defines what car you can't fly over? Like, this is the thing, though. Like, if you look at the law that is actually set in stone here in Canada, it's just completely pathetic. What if it's my car? You know, if it's my car, does it make it illegal to fly it there? Does it make it so that someone can literally come to me and say, land your drone and confiscate it and give me a ticket that's over $2,500? Like, it just, again, like, I understand the crowds, yes, okay, maybe you can't fly over crowds because that's dangerous, because if it does fall, it's going to hit someone, but what about a person? Person walking down the street, what is the chances of you actually going to land on that person? And if you do, you should accept the consequences. That person can sue or whatever, or the insurance can cover, like the car. It's just like the poorly, like, the people that put that in, it just feels like they just, look, there it is. Can't fly drones. Well, cool. I'm going to still fly my fucking drone, and I'm just going to hide in a parking lot, a parking garage while I fly it. And that's kind of where I stand on the bullshit rules. That's exactly why I hated school, for the same thing. Like, we had this rule, you can't wear a hat. Who the fuck is it affecting? They said it's a respect thing. Why? Why is it a respect thing? I can't wear a hat. It's not affecting anybody, not even me, but you just make that rule. So I purposely defy that. I mean, maybe it wasn't the right thing to do, but my stupid self purposely defied that. I didn't even wear hats. I just chose to wear a hat because I wanted to argue. I just wanted to say, look, it makes no sense. Is that right for me to do? Maybe it was a little bit of a waste of my time, but it was funny because it's like, again, it's just pointless. You're taking time out of your day to argue with me about a hat. I'm in school, which I don't give a shit. Like, I just don't like school. I find any reason to argue with a teacher just so I didn't have to learn for like 20 minutes of my time. But, like, again, it's like these pointless things. Did that, but hoods on my hoodie. Again, like, it's just like, it doesn't hurt anybody. And safety, okay, well, safety, I mean, again, like, this is the thing with hats. It's just so dumb. Because, I'll tell you, in the same school board, there was a school that was allowed hats. And the students at our school put a petition together and got everybody to sign the petition about hats. Got the legal amount, or not the legal amount, but the amount that was necessary to, like, take to the parent council. And the parents shut it down. Why? Well, because we care so much. They don't give it, like, why do you care? Like, you're teaching kids at a young age. They put the work in. first off, you're completely defying like what democracy is. If someone goes out and creates a petition in the real world, look at net neutrality, whether you disagree or agree, they created a petition and a bunch of people signed it, which was able to overrun what that was. So right away you're saying, well, even though they put all the work in to put the petition in, which is a fair petition to make in any sense, you're just stripping them of their idea of they just want to wear hats because we're just fucking kids, okay? We have nothing better to do. We're in high school. High school is bullshit. High school sucks. All it does, like, makes you want to just go to bed, and then they give you homework, and I never did my homework, but, like, high school was just so bullshit. Like, if some people learn from high school, then totally, I go for it. But, like, for me, I don't learn that way, and I just knew that, so I didn't try to learn that way, and, you know, I'm going to make it work for myself either way. I know it's an arrogant way to go about it, but, you know, I tried the nice guy. I tried listening in class. I tried being the nice guy, but I still got in these arguments for just bullshit. It's like there's a point where I can't take it, and that's just who I am. That's what I stand for. You know, if you're gonna sit there and apply stupid shit and rules about stuff that just doesn't matter, then well, I'm gonna fight you on it. Like, screw you. Why? It doesn't make sense. So like, it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. Especially when they claim it's affecting, like, when they make the rule because, like, maybe, I don't know why they create the rule, and it starts to affect people that have businesses in Canada. We saw this with marijuana. The government walks in and takes all these people in BC. I mean, it was illegal, so technically it's like a legal thing that the police could go and raid these dispensaries in BC, but they do it right before they legalize marijuana. 1 second. God damn it. I'm getting a call. Okay. So they do it right before they legalize marijuana. So the government walks into these people that are running a business, okay? It's not legal, but, like, it's just like, it just happens. People sell marijuana. Like, that's just what Canada has been like for the past, like, 5 years. They've just created companies that grow marijuana, and they sell it like normal people, like normal merchants. You can walk into a store, and you can go to a privately owned store and literally buy marijuana. Like, that's just how it's been. It's not legal yet, but you can do that. But in BC, the police started raiding these dispensaries. The same, like, literally, weed's going to be legal as of next year in July. So they're taking away these businesses that people worked hard to make, all right? They're just going to take it because it's wrong now. Technically, it's wrong now. Then they're going to legalize it, and now the government's going to slap their fucking face on it. And I just don't agree with that. Like, I don't know what that's just, like, literally stealing from people that have a dream and are doing something. And I think it teaches wrong, like, morals, like, for society. Like, you know, if you want to, if you don't agree with something, it doesn't need to always become, like, someone, like, you don't have to make it an issue. Like, if you don't agree with vapes, you don't need to make it a law. And it's like, it's problematic if you make it a law. Like, there's just a bunch of things that are going to go wrong. People are going to go out of business. Companies that are trying to, well, run a legitimate business are going to go out of business. And it's, like, that's just one thing, okay? Like, this person has a family. What's he going to do now? Dropped out of high school because he saw an opportunity. He took it. In a legal sense, he took it. And now you're creating a law because for no reason, you're just going to do it. Like, again, it's just like this false sense of, oh, well, I care so much. But meanwhile, they're literally just punching you deep in the face over and over and over again. And the only way to break free from that is to just honestly be a good example for yourself and follow what you want to go. Because honestly, the thing with this is, you know, there's a lot of things that have been passed by our government in Canada. And I know I didn't say it's going to be a political thing, but there's just a lot of laws that have been passed recently that, you know, they're not defined, they're not thought out. So therefore, there's going to be severe loopholes and severe things that happen to people legally, like jail time, because they say the brand of a vape, that's jail time. Someone can go to jail for that. Someone can get ticketed over $10,000 for selling juice that's flavored. Like, that is a problematic thing, and I don't think that's justified for anybody. Even if you disagree with vaping, do you think it's all right that, like, you know, you're pretty much selling something that well, it is legal. It's just like selling cigarettes. You're doing it for a good cause. But thank you very much, by the way, Baba Fettuccine. But it's just like, again, there's a lot of stuff going on in Canada that's just, again, it's just not thought out, and, you know, as a person, it's just like, dude, why did you do that? It just doesn't make sense. Or, like, whoever it is, why are you doing that? It just doesn't make sense ethically. And just, why can't you just keep your nose out of this business? Yeah, what's up? My grandpa's just staying in my he fell in his nose and his mouth, and he's like, 1 second. I'm just making sure it's not a thing with his heart, or any of that. I don't think it is. I honestly think it was just an accident. He fell, but, like, the doctor said it could be a seizure or something with his heart, and I don't want it to happen when nobody's there to help him. So, yeah. But yeah, like I was saying, again, like, obviously, it's difficult to change those laws now that they're created, but again, I just think that if you keep your nose out of other people's business and focus on yourself and use your determination to, rather than try to justify your own ideas, but use your energy to work with others to create new ideas that are going to be better than your original ideas. I'll tell you that right now. Collaboration, like, creates some pretty awesome pizzazz to your game. I'll tell you that right now. But welcome to the stream, Athala, and Alamith, however you pronounce that. Apply your energy and your strength rather than just, like, shutting everybody down and yelling at people and like pushing your ideas for whatever reason. And I know it, like, honestly, you have your mind, and it's all you, like, honestly. But the way I deal with things is just that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not saying I do it completely, because I still mess up. Like, everybody messes up. We get heated. Like, things happen, and, like, we disagree with them, and it just makes us angry. That's just what we do. It's not always going to be rainbows and sunshines, and it's very hard to keep that calm attitude during hard times. Like, it's a difficult thing to do, but if you focus on that and you use your energy to basically create a new perspective, really, then you'll be surprised with what you can come up with just by working with other people rather than shutting them down either. And this is, like, I talked about this earlier, like, shutting them down for whatever reason. If you think they're stupid, if you think they are like, you can learn something from everybody. Even, like, the top 10 failures of the world. Even Hitler. I'll even say that. And it's not a racist thing. It's just, even Hitler, you can learn from him. And just think about what you can learn from Hitler. What did he do wrong? Even with all the wrong he did and the horrible shit that he did to during that time, like, what was his, like, motives? Like, try to actually understand why. And I know, like, it doesn't mean you have to agree with that. Like, that's the thing that our world tries to push. Just because you try to understand someone, like a mass murderer, doesn't mean you agree with mass murders. Just the same as if you try to understand why Hitler did what he did, doesn't mean that you agree with what Hitler did. Like, that's just bullshit. You know it. Like, that's just, like, say it to your mind. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, just because you're trying to understand why he did what he did, what that does is it helps you understand who he was and his motives. and relate that to what our society is doing, or like maybe it's not actually doing it, but like again, like we can create these relations between different things and come up with what he did wrong. And I guarantee you there's some things that he did right. I haven't looked into them, but like again, like I believe even the stupidest person is doing something right. Like there's something, like dissect their situation. Like don't just like go, oh well he's horrible, I can't learn anything from him. That's not true. It's not true at all. You can learn from everybody. Everybody. I think that's a good time to end this little stream here. I know it kind of ended on a weird note there with Hitler and trying to understand. We can put it in any context you'd like to put it in. Think about your most hated person at school. Why don't you put it that way? That way it's easier to do. Try to learn something. Why do you hate that person? But why does that person have whatever, something that you like about him or you want about him, or try to figure out something that you can relate on. You don't need to even engage in conversation, but if you do engage in conversation, I'd highly agree with it. Like, go for it. You'd be surprised if you hated someone so much and you actually went up and said, hey buddy, how you doing? Maybe he's not actually as devilish as you think. But that's a good place to end it. I think I got what I wanted to say out. I hope I see you guys again. I think I can't change it. Well, sometimes you can't, and that's what I was saying. Doesn't matter. Move on. If you can like look at the situation and be like, it's not worth it. Like like inside, you know what's worth it. Like, what's worth it to you? To try to rebuild a relationship that like you don't really want, then don't do it. But like if you want to learn something, I'm not saying you have to rebuild that relationship. If you want to learn something, okay, the first person you should go to is your enemy. Study him in any aspect of life. Like honestly, like understand everything that you don't like about him and everything that try to find stuff that you like about him. And you can, like that's the thing. Even my enemies, I can say, well, I mean, like he deals with arguments in a very, very calm way, and I want to be like that, even though I hate him. I can still agree on that point right there. But again, I just want to end this stream here. I got some stuff to do. He's so annoying. Then don't be annoying. There you go. Why is he annoying? Ask those questions. I'm sorry I'm ending the stream. I know you came in here later, but thank you everybody for joining the stream, and I guess a lot of people came and left already, but sweet. I hope to see you guys soon. I hope I can be on soon enough. But yeah, King Kim, what's up? Thank you for joining the stream. I don't think I said welcome. And all my fans that are in here, Baba Ficini, I'm saving Athalana Mendoza for last. Thank you guys, every one of you. And 6 Typo 1, get out of here. I'm just kidding. Sweet brother. Have a good one, or sisters. Brothers and sisters. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.